the world. But you will be much more than that.
Hey!
Let's send those disgusting demons back! Let's get battle ready.
You're all I can think of. Every drop I drip, you're my soda pop, my little soda.
Welcome back to A Cinema Films, your go-to spot for honest and entertaining movie reviews. Today, we're talking about one of the most anticipated animated adventures, K-pop Demon Hunters. Imagine your favorite K-pop idols leading double lives, dazzling on stage by day and fighting terrifying demons by night. This film promises a vibrant mix of music, action, and emotion, wrapped in stunning animation and a powerful story about courage and teamwork. So, is K-pop Demon Hunters worth all the hype? Let's dive in and find out. K-pop Demon Hunters is a 2025 American animated musical urban fantasy film directed by Maggie Kang and Chris Appelhans, who also co-wrote the screenplay alongside Danya Jimenez and Huntr, based on an original story by Kang. The film is produced by Sony Pictures Animation for Netflix and features an impressive voice cast including Arden Cho, and Hyo Seop, Bae Hong, Ji Young-yu, Yeonjin Kim, Daniel Dae Kim, Kan Jang, and Lee Byung-hun. The story centers on a K-pop girl group known as Huntr, who live double lives as both global pop sensations and secret demon hunters. When they discover that their rival boy band, the Saja Boys, are actually demons in disguise, their glamorous world of music collides with a thrilling battle against dark forces threatening humanity. The idea for K-pop Demon Hunters was born from Maggie Kang's passion to tell a story deeply inspired by her Korean heritage, drawing upon rich elements of Korean mythology, folklore, and the modern energy of K-pop culture. Kang aimed to create a film that was not only visually stunning but also culturally meaningful. By March 2021, Sony Pictures Animation had confirmed the project was in active production with its full creative team assembled. The animation was handled by Sony Pictures Imageworks and was noted for its unique visual approach, blending the vivid lighting of live concerts, the dynamic framing of editorial photography, and the rhythm and style of K-pop music videos. The film also drew visual inspiration from anime and Korean dramas, resulting in a vibrant and highly stylized aesthetic. Its energetic soundtrack features original songs performed by talented artists, while the emotional score was composed by Marcello Zarvos, perfectly complementing the film's fusion of fantasy, music, and emotion. K-pop Demon Hunters premiered on Netflix on June 20, 2025, and later received a special sing-along theatrical release from August 23 to 24, 2025, allowing fans to experience the music and visuals on the big screen. The film received widespread acclaim from both critics and audiences, praised for its dazzling animation, inventive visual style, strong voice performances, engaging writing, and electrifying music. It quickly became a cultural sensation, breaking multiple records to become the most-watched original title in Netflix history with over 325 million views. Its sing-along theatrical release made history as the widest release for a Netflix film and the first to top the U.S. box office, surpassing Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, 2022. The film's soundtrack achieved major commercial success, topping numerous streaming and music charts worldwide, and became the first movie soundtrack to feature 4 songs simultaneously in the Billboard Hot 100 Top 10. Due to its massive popularity and critical success, discussions for a sequel are already underway, and a short film titled Debut, a K-pop Demon Hunters short, was recently rated by the MPA, signaling that this vibrant cinematic universe is just getting started. Long ago, in an era when demons roamed freely among humans, feeding upon their souls to strengthen their ruthless ruler Gwema, 3 courageous women rose to protect humanity. Gifted with powerful singing voices, they used their music to create a sacred barrier known as the Hamnmuna, a magical shield that prevented demons from invading the human world. Over generations, new trios of demon hunters carried on their legacy, maintaining the Hamnmoon through the harmony of their voices. Their ultimate mission was to fortify the barrier into the Golden Hanmoon, a final seal strong enough to banish all demons for eternity. In the modern day, this ancient legacy lives on through the dazzling K-pop girl group Huntr, composed of 3 young women, Rumi, Mira, and Zoey, who balance their lives as global music idols with their secret duty as demon hunters. Under the mentorship of former Huntr Celine, they use their performances to sustain the Hanmoon, their songs serving as both art and spiritual protection. However, Rumi hides a dangerous secret: she is half demon, a truth known only to herself and Celine, who has raised and protected her since childhood. Haunted by strange demonic patterns that are slowly spreading across her skin, Rumi becomes desperate to purify herself. Believing that completing the Golden Hanmoon will erase her curse, she hastens the release and live debut of Huntr/X's newest single, Golden. Yet, as the performance approaches, her voice begins to weaken, a troubling sign that something dark is stirring within her. Meanwhile, deep in the demon world, the ancient ruler Gwema grows furious over his minions' inability to corrupt humanity. Determined to strike back, a group of 5 demons, led by a tormented former human named Jinu, form a rival boy band known as the Saja Boys. Their mission is to steal Huntr/X's devoted fans, feeding on human adoration to drain the power of the Hanmoon. In return, Gwema promises Jinu the erasure of his painful human memories. When Huntr/X watched the Saja Boys' debut performance, they immediately sensed the demon's presence. After a televised variety show, the 2 groups clash backstage in a fierce battle that exposes Jinu to Rumi's secret to her spreading demonic patterns. Instead of revealing her identity, Jinu conceals the truth from his bandmates and later meets with Rumi in secret. He explains that shame is the weapon demons use to enslave souls, binding them through Gwema's voice. Jinu recounts his tragic past. 4 centuries earlier, Gwema granted him a voice so beautiful that it lifted his family from poverty. But when he succumbed to greed and pride, his family perished, and he was condemned to the demon realm. Racked with guilt, Jinu sees a reflection of himself in Rumi's struggle. As the Saja Boys' popularity explodes, the Hanmoon weakens, unleashing waves of new demon attacks. With the Idol Awards approaching, Huntr/X prepare a new single titled Takedown, a fierce anthem aimed at exposing the Saja Boys' true demonic nature. However, the song's aggressive, hate-filled lyrics cause tension within the group, especially for Rumi, who feels conflicted about condemning demons while knowing part of her is one. The disagreement strains her friendship with Mira and Zoey. In search of a peaceful resolution, Rumi secretly strikes a deal with Jinu. If he helps Huntr win the Idol Awards and restore the Han Moon's power, she will ensure his freedom in the human world. During their private moments, Rumi confides that her shame over being half-demon has damaged her voice, but talking with Jinu has helped her heal emotionally. Touched by her compassion, Jinu admits that her presence has silenced the tormenting voices of Gwimos inside his mind, and he agrees to sabotage the Saja Boys from within. However, Gwimos soon calls upon Jinu, cruelly reminding him of his true past, how he willingly abandoned his family in pursuit of fame and fortune, and warns that if Jinu betrays him, he will suffer eternal torment amplified by guilt and shame. On the night of the Idol Awards, Huntr decide to perform Golden instead of Takedown, hoping their message of unity will strengthen the Han Moon. But Gwima and his followers are already prepared. Jinu's demonic allies infiltrate the venue, luring Mira and Zoey away and replacing them with imposters who manipulate Rumi into performing Takedown against her will. In the middle of the broadcast, the imposters expose Rumi's demonic patterns to the public, turning the crowd against her. Humiliated and heartbroken, Rumi flees the stage and encounters the real Mira and Zoey, who are devastated to learn of her secret and furious that she hid the truth and her alliance with Jinu from them. Confronting Jinu in anger, Rumi discovers that he lied about his past, confirming her worst fears. Empowered by his followers and the crumbling Han Moon, Gwima manifests in the human world, casting a dark enchantment over the audience and the public at large, including Mira and Zoey. Drawn into a trance, they are compelled toward the Saja Boys' final performance, where Gwima intends to harvest their souls. In despair, Rumi turns to Selene, begging her to end her life to prevent the demon within from taking control. Selene refuses, urging Rumi to see that self-acceptance and not destruction is the key to breaking the cycle of shame. Enraged and feeling unloved, Rumi lashes out at her mentor and runs away, believing all hope is lost. In one final act of courage, Rumi storms the Saja Boys' concert and interrupts their performance with an emotional, unscripted song about shame, identity, and self-acceptance. Her voice, now pure and powerful, pierces through Gwima's influence, awakening Mira and Zoey from their trance. Reunited, the trio of Huntr channel their true harmony, combining strength, love, and acceptance to fight back against the demons. During the climactic battle, Jinu redeems himself by sacrificing his life to save Rumi from Gwima's fatal strike. In doing so, his purified soul merges with Rumi's power, allowing her to fully embrace both her human and demon sides. Empowered by his gift, Huntr unleashed their ultimate performance, defeating Gwima and the remaining Saja Boys while forging a new, radiant Han Moon that restores balance between the human and demon worlds. In the aftermath, Rumi no longer hides her true nature. Her demonic markings, once symbols of shame, now serve as reminders of her strength and identity. She celebrates her victory and newfound peace with Mira and Zoey at their favorite bathhouse spa, the three laughing together as true sisters once more. Later, they meet their fans openly, not as idols hiding secrets, but as authentic versions of themselves, heroes who turned their voices into instruments of light and hope. The voice cast of K-pop Demon Hunters features a richly diverse lineup of talented actors and singers who bring depth, emotion, and energy to the film's vibrant characters, seamlessly blending the worlds of fantasy, music, and culture. Arden Cho voices Rumi, the lead vocalist and courageous leader of the K-pop girl group Huntr. A fierce yet compassionate warrior, Rumi wields a mystical Sanjam sword in battle, symbolizing her inner strength and the burden of her dual heritage. Born to a demon father and her late mother, Rumi, a legendary demon hunter and K-pop idol, Rumi inherits both the power and the pain of two worlds. Her mother once fought alongside Selene in the previous generation's demon hunting trio known as the Sunlight Sisters, making Rumi's journey both the continuation and redemption of her family's legacy. Ajae provides Rumi's stunning singing voice, capturing the character's emotional range and resilience, while Rumi Ok voices the younger version of Rumi, portraying her childhood innocence and early struggles with identity. Mayhong voices Mira, the visual center and main dancer of Huntr. Graceful yet assertive, Mira wields a formidable Gokto pole during combat, blending her elegance with fierce precision. Coming from a wealthy and prestigious family, Mira was often viewed as the black sheep due to her rebellious spirit and refusal to conform to societal expectations. Her character embodies independence and passion, both in performance and in battle. Her singing voice is performed by Audrey Nuna, whose expressive tone perfectly reflects Mira's confidence and emotional depth. Ji Young-yu portrays Zoey, the group's main rapper, lyricist, and youngest member, the Machnia of Huntr. Known for her wit and determination, Zoey brings both humor and heart to the team. She fights using sharp shinkle throwing knives, a weapon that matches her fast-paced energy and precision on stage. As a Korean-American raised in Burbank, Zoey often struggles to balance her cultural roots with her modern upbringing, adding a layer of relatability to her character. Rumi provides Zoey's singing voice, giving life to her fiery and expressive musical style. And seop lends his voice to Jinu, the enigmatic and brooding leader of the demon boy band Saja Boys. Once a human with dreams of musical greatness, Jinu's haunting past and tragic choices led him to become a demon bound to serve the ruler Rumi. Accompanied by his two mystical companions, a blue tiger and a six-eyed magpie, Jinu is torn between his demonic servitude and lingering humanity. His singing voice is performed by Arden Cho, whose soulful vocals emphasize the character's internal conflict and yearning for redemption. Yeonjin Kim voices Celine, a former demon hunter and K-pop idol who now serves as Huntr/X's mentor. Once a celebrated member of the Sunlight Sisters alongside Rumi's mother, Celine has dedicated her later life to training the next generation of hunters while secretly protecting Rumi's true identity. Stern but deeply caring, she represents the emotional bridge between the past and the present. Her songs, performed by Lisa Longa, carry both wisdom and melancholy, reflecting Celine's history of loss and resilience. Among the Saja Boys, Joel Kim boosts her voice as Romance Saja, characterized by his charm and flamboyant personality. His smooth singing voice is provided by Samuel Lee, enhancing his charismatic appeal. Alan Lee voices Mystery Saja, a calm and calculating member whose vocals are performed by Kevin Wu bring intensity and precision to the group's music. Arden Cho voices Abby Saja, infusing the character with wit and dark humor, while Nekwev supplies his hauntingly melodic singing voice. Danny Chung voices Baby Saja, the youngest and most unpredictable of the group, whose mischievous nature adds comic relief amid the darker themes. Daniel Dae Kim voices Healer Han, an eccentric yet brilliant doctor who aids Huntr with his unconventional wisdom and knowledge of ancient magic. His presence offers both humor and heart, grounding the story's fantastical elements in human emotion. Ken Jang provides the voice of Bobby, Huntr/X's fast-talking and often overwhelmed manager, whose comedic timing offers levity during tense moments. The film's central antagonist, Gwema, the terrifying king of demons, is voiced by Lee Byung-hun. Gwema manifests as a colossal fiery mouth, representing endless hunger and corruption. Lee delivers a commanding performance that captures the character's malevolent charisma. He also reprises the role in the Korean language dub, adding authenticity to the film's cultural roots. Rounding out the ensemble, Liza Koshy lends her voice to a lively television host who appears during the Idol Awards, while Maggie Kang, Nathan Schauf, and Charlene Ramos contribute additional background and supporting voices that enrich the film's bustling, music-driven world. Together, this powerhouse cast of international talent brings emotional nuance, humor, and rhythm to K-pop demon hunters, creating a richly layered voice performance that enhances the film's blend of fantasy, culture, and music. The development and production of K-pop demon hunters was an ambitious, culturally rich, and visually groundbreaking process that combined the energy of modern K-pop with the depth of traditional Korean mythology. The film was officially announced in March 2021 under the working title K-pop, Demon Hunters, with Maggie Kang and Chris Appelhans attached as co-directors and Hanim Kim and Daniel Jimenez as the screenwriters. Aaron Warner and Michelle L. M. Wong served as producers, while Mingju Helen Chen and Amy Thompson were named production designer and art director, respectively. The project was developed and produced by Sony Pictures Animation, marking one of the studio's most culturally specific and musically ambitious ventures to date. The concept originated with Maggie Kang, who wanted to create a film deeply rooted in Korean culture while offering a bold, original vision that stood apart from Western animated norms. Kang described the project as both a love letter to K-pop and a tribute to my Korean roots. She immersed herself in Korea's mythology and demonology, aiming to design a world that would be visually distinct and spiritually resonant. During development, she and her team explored the historical role of Korean shaman women, who were known to sing and dance to ward off evil spirits and protect their community, as this tradition became the foundation for the film's Demon Hunters. When developing the characters, Kang intentionally broke away from the conventional portrayal of female heroes in Western animation and comics. She wanted to avoid what she called the Marvel-style female superheroes who were just sexy, cool, and stoic, instead embracing girls who had pot bellies, burped, laughed too loudly, and were fun, flawed, and real. This desire for authenticity shaped the film's protagonists, who embody the messy, emotional, and humorous aspects of real young women while also being powerful and heroic. Kang cited Bong Joon-ho, particularly his ability to balance humor, emotion, and horror, as a major influence, and she and Appelhans specifically referenced his 2006 film The Host as an example of how to blend multiple tones and genres effectively. Chris Appelhans, who had recently directed Wish Dragon, 2021, joined the project after Kang shared her early ideas with him. Although he had planned to take a long hiatus, he was inspired by the story's emotional potential and its theme of music as a unifying force. I've always wanted to make a film about the power of music to unite, to heal, and to bring joy, Appelhans explained. Meanwhile, writers Hanim Kim and Daniel Jimenez were approached by Nicole Perlman, who saw in them the youthful energy and perspective Kang wanted. Though neither had previous experience in animation or K-pop, the close friendship and understanding of female camaraderie made them an ideal fit to write the story of Huntr/Zoey, sisterhood of performers and warriors. The group's name, Huntr X, is a creative fusion of hunter and the Latin feminine suffix strix, symbolizing feminine strength and agency. The trio was designed to capture the charisma and style of real K-pop groups such as Blackpink, ITZY, and Twice, while also paying homage to Jinu, one of K-pop's earliest trailblazers. Each character was influenced by real-life Korean icons. Mira, for example, drew visual inspiration from model An So-yeon, while Jinu, the leader of the Saja Boys, was partly modeled after actor and singer Chun-woo. The Saja Boys themselves were a loving nod to famous K-pop boy bands like BTS, Stray Kids, Tease, Tomorrow X Together, Big Bang, and Monsta X. Their name, Saja, holds a dual meaning. It refers both to the Josung Saja, the Korean Grim Reaper, and to the Korean word for lion. This symbolism carried through in their logo, which featured a maned lion, and in their fandom's nickname of the Pride. The visual and cultural details of K-pop Demon Hunters were deeply tied to Korean history and aesthetics. As noted by cultural critics, the styling of Huntr X connected modern K-pop glamour with traditional motifs. They wore Norgi pendants integrated into their futuristic stage costumes, while the Saja Boys performed in black hanbok and traditional horsehair hats during their song Your Idol, evoking the haunting image of the Korean Reaper. The weapons wielded by Huntr X were also inspired by historical Korean artifacts, symbolizing the union of ancient heritage and modern artistry. Critics such as Max Kim of the Los Angeles Times highlighted these nods to Korea's musical lineage, noting references to early Korean performers like the Jagori sisters, the Kim sisters, and SES, who laid the foundation for contemporary K-pop. Visually, Kang and Appelhans designed a striking character progression that mirrored the story's emotional evolution. At the beginning of the film, the Saja Boys are presented in a bubblegum pop, sugar-sweet aesthetic, but as the narrative darkens, their image evolves into something sinister, resembling the traditional Grim Reaper. The Huntr X members also undergo symbolic wardrobe transformations, and most notably, their shimmering gold costumes during the performance of Golden, representing their shared dream of perfection. By the film's midpoint, that ideal literally falls apart as Rumi stands among the torn remains of her costume, a visual metaphor for the shattering of her illusion of flawlessness. One of the film's most culturally resonant creative choices came from the inclusion of Derpy and Sussy, Jinu's mystical animal companions, a bright blue tiger and a six-eyed magpie. These characters were inspired by manhwa, a traditional style of Korean folk painting from the Joseon period, particularly the hojak-do genre, which depicted tigers and magpies together. Over centuries, these paintings evolved from religious symbols into playful, satirical commentaries on power and society. In this film, the magpie's mischievous act of stealing the tiger's hat serves as a clever homage to this artistic tradition. Production designer Mingju Helen Chen originally painted an image of a stone tiger coming to life beside a shirtless Jinu, which sparked the idea of Derpy as Jinu's magical pet. Eventually, the two creatures became essential parts of the story's emotional and narrative rhythm, mysterious beings that live between worlds, neither fully demonic nor human. The casting process was equally meticulous and emotionally driven. The film's production team cast the singing voices before selecting the actors for dialogue, ensuring the musical performances felt authentic to K-pop's energy. Jae, originally brought on as a songwriter, was later chosen as Rumi's singing voice after the directors became attached to her vocal style. Arden Cho, who voices Rumi, initially auditioned for the role of Celine but was encouraged by Kang to try out for the lead after recognizing her emotional connection to the character. The role of Gwema, the demonic king, went through major creative evolution. Originally conceived as a flamboyant and comedic villain intended for Park Jin-young, the character was reimagined as a darker, more imposing figure, leading to Lee Byung-hun being cast instead. In April 2025, Ji Young-yu was officially announced as the voice of Zoey, followed by the rest of the ensemble later that month, completing a diverse, international cast that reflected the film's multicultural spirit. The film's animation was handled by Sony Pictures Imageworks across its Vancouver and Montreal facilities, with Josh Beveridge serving as head of character animation. The directors drew inspiration from a variety of visual sources: K-pop music videos, editorial photography, Korean dramas, concert lighting, and even anime to craft the film's dynamic, genre-blending aesthetic. After studying the Spider-Verse films, the team decided to move away from a traditional hybrid 2D-3D approach and instead create the CG version of anime, characterized by bold colors, stylized lighting, and detailed facial expressions. Beveridge described the look as a mix of 2D aesthetics expressed through a 3D cinematic language, aiming for a graphic yet emotional visual experience. The animators also adapted character expressions to match different emotional tones. For glamorous concert sequences, the characters appeared sleek and radiant like real pop stars. In intense action scenes, their faces took on sharper, more angular designs with expressive line work, while comedic or light-hearted moments leaned into chibi or mini chibi style, super cute, exaggerated, and brimming with personality. Kang emphasized the importance of cultural authenticity even in facial animation, ensuring that the characters' eyes, smiles, and lip movements reflected Korean features and speech patterns. Although the film is in English, she noted that the mouth shapes were designed with Korean phonetics in mind, allowing the characters to feel unmistakably Korean in movement and emotion. From concept to completion, K-pop Demon Hunters stands as a masterful blend of music, mythology, modernity, and identity, capturing the heart of K-pop culture while introducing a new dimension of storytelling in animation. It is both a visual spectacle and a deeply personal narrative via a film that celebrates Korean creativity on a global stage while remaining unapologetically true to its roots. Music serves as the beating heart of K-pop Demon Hunters, both narratively and emotionally, reflecting the film's central theme of the healing and destructive power of song. Co-director Chris Appel has explained that the creative team wanted a clear musical distinction between the two groups at the film's core. The heroine's Huntr X and the antagonist boy band Saja Boys. We wanted the Saja Boys tracks to sound instantly addictive and polished, but emotionally hollow-like songs that glitter on the surface but have no real soul underneath, Apple has said. In contrast, Huntr/X's music had to feel raw, vulnerable, and haunted songs that connect to something deeper inside you. To authentically capture the essence of modern K-pop while infusing it with the film's mythological and emotional undertones, co-directors Maggie Kang and Apple has collaborated with some of the industry's most acclaimed producers and songwriters. The soundtrack brings together a powerhouse creative team including Danny Chung, Edo, Vince, Kush, J.E., Jenna Andrews, Stephen Kirk, Lindgren, Mark Sanenblick, and Daniel Rojas, with production led by Teddy Park, 24, Dominsyuk, Andrews, Kirk, Lindgren, and Dionysandrad. The film's score was composed by Marcellos Arvos, blending traditional Korean instrumentation with electronic and orchestral elements to bridge the ancient and modern worlds depicted in the film. The soundtrack also features an impressive lineup of vocal talent, including J.E., Audrey Nuna, Rumi, Andrew Choi, Kevin Woo, Sama Lee, Nekwev, and Lisa Longa, whose voices bring the characters' emotional performances to life. Reflecting the film's global appeal, the music incorporates both English and Korean lyrics, symbolizing unity through cultural fusion. Released on June 20, 2025, by Sony Music and Netflix Records, the soundtrack was met with both critical acclaim and commercial success. The lead single, Takedown, performed by Jang Ian, Jihim, and Chae of Twice, became an instant hit, praised for its empowering message and electrifying choreography. Following its release, the album was certified platinum by the RIAA on October 8, 2025, surpassing 1 million sales within just 4 months. In the United States, the soundtrack made history by debuting at number 8 on the Billboard 200, marking the highest debut for any soundtrack in 2025 and becoming the first soundtrack that year to reach the top 10. It also became the highest-charting animated film soundtrack since Spider-Man: Across the Spider-Verse, 2023, and the first Netflix soundtrack to top the Billboard Top Soundtracks chart since Stranger Things, Season 4, 2022. Internationally, the soundtrack broke several streaming records. The BBC reported that both Huntr/X's empowering anthem Golden and Saja Boys' darkly seductive Your Idol dominated global Spotify charts. Golden peaked at number 2, surpassing Blackpink as the highest-charting female K-pop act in the US, while Your Idol made Saja Boys the highest-charting male K-pop group in US Spotify history, surpassing BTS. Golden, the film's emotional centerpiece, went on to achieve historic milestones, topping the Billboard Global 200 and the US Billboard Hot 100, while also becoming the third song of 2025 to earn a perfect all-kill on South Korean charts. It later shattered the national record for most hourly perfect all-kills of all time, cementing its legacy as a generational anthem. The soundtrack further made history by becoming the first ever in Billboard Hot 100 history to feature 4 songs simultaneously in the top 10. Golden, Your Idol, Soda Pop, and How It's Done. It is also the first film soundtrack since Waiting to Exhale, 1995, to have at least 3 tracks reach the top 10, marking K-pop Demon Hunters as both a cinematic and musical phenomenon. When K-pop Demon Hunters was first announced by Sony Pictures Animation in March 2021, no official release date or distribution plan was attached to the project. The studio initially described it as a theatrical production in development, sparking early speculation that it would follow Sony's traditional release model for animated features. However, by late 2021, the film's distribution path began to take a significant turn. In April 2022, it was revealed through industry filings that Netflix had quietly registered documentation related to the film's distribution rights. This sparked reports that the streamer was in advanced negotiations with Sony Pictures to secure K-pop Demon Hunters as part of a larger strategic partnership. The move was officially confirmed in February 2023, when Sony Pictures Entertainment CEO Tom Rothman stated in an interview with Business Insider that the film would debut exclusively on Netflix, marking a major step in Sony's evolving relationship with the streaming giant. The partnership itself traces back to a landmark 2021 agreement between Sony Pictures and Netflix, comprising two major components: an output deal and a direct-to-platform arrangement. Under the output deal, Netflix gained first streaming rights to Sony's theatrical releases after their cinema runs. The second arrangement, however, gave Netflix first-look access to certain live-action and animated projects that Sony Animation was developing, with Netflix committing to greenlight a minimum number of titles each year. According to film industry journalist Matthew Belloni, KPop, Demon Hunters was one of the first high-profile projects to be developed under this direct-to-platform deal. Belloni reported that Sony would receive a pre-negotiated premium roughly 25% above each film's production budget, capped at $20 million per title, in exchange for transferring global distribution and profit participation rights to Netflix. In the case of KPop, Demon Hunters, Netflix fully financed the film's $100 million budget and paid an additional $25 million premium to Sony. Pamela McClintock of The Hollywood Reporter further detailed that Sony's compensation extended beyond the film's production payment. The studio retained a share of soundtrack sales, music publishing royalties from original songs, and a portion of the revenue Netflix pays to Sony Pictures Animation for its creative contributions. Analysts noted that this hybrid financing model allowed Sony to mitigate risk while still benefiting from the film's global streaming performance and massive soundtrack success. After several years of development and post-production, KPop, Demon Hunters was officially announced for a 2025 release during Sony's animation slate reveal in June 2024. In April 2025, an animator on the project confirmed the target release window of June, and later that month, Netflix officially set the global premiere date for June 20, 2025. Although primarily a Netflix original release, KPop, Demon Hunters also received the limited theatrical rollout in select cinemas across California and New York. According to Billboard, this limited engagement was designed specifically to qualify the film for Academy Awards consideration, meeting the Academy of Motion Picture Arts Sciences theatrical eligibility requirements for animated features. Despite the limited scale, screenings sold out in multiple venues, particularly in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Manhattan, where the film drew enthusiastic crowds of K-pop fans. Building on the film's viral popularity and the success of its chart-topping soundtrack, a special sing-along version of K-pop, Demon Hunters was later released theatrically from August 23-24, 2025, across North America, the United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand. This version included on-screen lyrics, fanlight synchronization technology, and exclusive behind-the-scenes content during the credits. The sing-along screenings were met with sold-out audiences and social media celebrations from fanbases of both Huntr, X and the Saja Boys. Following its theatrical run, the sing-along edition was added as a bonus feature on Netflix, alongside a behind-the-music documentary segment, giving viewers a deeper look into the cultural fusion, choreography, and musical production that defined the film's global appeal. The sing-along theatrical version of K-pop, Demon Hunters was officially released in cinemas on August 23, 2025, marking a historic moment for both Netflix and Sony Pictures Animation. The special release, which followed the film's massive success on streaming platforms, was strategically designed as an event-style engagement intended to bridge the worlds of theatrical cinema and K-pop concert culture. The film opened in 1,700 theaters across North America, making it Netflix's widest theatrical release to date, and surpassing the 698-theater rollout of Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, 2022. Which had previously held that record. Early tracking projected the sing-along version to earn between $18 million and $20 million in its opening weekend, already a notable forecast for a re-release of a streaming title. However, the film exceeded expectations, debuting at $19.2 million domestically across the United States and Canada. ultimately claiming the #1 spot at the box office. This achievement made K-pop Demon Hunters the first Netflix film in history to top the weekend box office, dethroning the horror thriller Weapons, which had been expected to retain the top position during its third weekend. Although Netflix, in keeping with its policy, did not officially disclose gross revenue figures, data from industry trackers and independent analytics confirmed the film's commercial impact. The performance of K-pop Demon Hunters not only surpassed Glass Onion's $13.1 million debut but also became Netflix's best-performing theatrical release ever. Despite its limited engagement model and the film's prior availability on streaming, the overwhelming turnout was attributed to the film's massive fanbase, largely driven by global K-pop fandoms, social media buzz, and the interactive sing-along experience that turned theaters into communal concert-like events. Jeremy Fuster of The Wrap noted that K-pop Demon Hunters' sing-along version opened higher than many major studio releases, estimating that its debut gross was in the same league as The Bad Guys 2, $22 million, and Elio, $20.8 million. He further commented that the film's domestic total could have easily reached $100 million had it not premiered on Netflix 2 months earlier. The film's strong theatrical turnout was seen as a reflection of its cultural resonance, with audiences many of whom had already streamed it returning to theaters for the immersive, fan-driven atmosphere. Matt Simkowitz of the AV Club echoed similar sentiments, observing that the film's concert-like screenings attracted thousands of viewers who had likely already watched the movie online but wanted to relive the experience in a shared space filled with fans singing and waving light sticks. Critics described the screenings as a hybrid of cinema and live performance, where traditional film-going merged with the energy of a K-pop tour stop. Meanwhile, Ben Fritz of The Wall Street Journal emphasized that the film's critical acclaim and global fan enthusiasm were key factors behind Netflix's rare decision to grant it a theatrical release. Fritz described the move as a landmark experiment in cross-medium distribution, marking a turning point for Netflix's evolving approach toward animation and audience engagement. While Netflix has historically been cautious with theatrical runs, K-pop Demon Hunters demonstrated the financial and cultural potential of hybrid release strategy as showing that when a streaming title achieves major cultural status, it can successfully transition into a box office event. The film's theatrical performance, combined with its streaming dominance and record-breaking soundtrack success, cemented K-pop Demon Hunters as one of Netflix's most commercially and culturally significant titles of 2025. K-pop Demon Hunters received universal acclaim from both critics and audiences, earning praise for its vibrant animation, infectious music, emotional storytelling, and strong voice performances. Reviewers described the film as a dazzling blend of K-pop glamour and heartfelt fantasy that delivered both high-energy spectacle and genuine emotional resonance. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an impressive 95% approval rating based on 86 critic reviews, with an average rating of 7.8. The site's consensus reads, "Animated with infectious energy and vibrant colors, K-pop Demon Hunters is jaunty family entertainment with a terrific soundtrack to boot." Over on Metacritic, it holds a weighted average score of 77 out of 100, based on 9 reviews, indicating generally favorable reception. Brando New of the New York Times described K-pop Demon Hunters as an original universe that is charming, funny and artfully punchy, noting that the film is at its best when it pokes fun at the highly manufactured side of pop culture, from K-pop to K-dramas to mass-produced singing competitions. You also compared the movie's aesthetic and cinematic fluidity to Sony Pictures Animation's Spider-Verse films, highlighting that while both share a similar visual energy, K-pop Demon Hunters stands apart through its more holistic and emotionally dynamic use of music as a storytelling tool. Matt Goldberg of The Wrap added that the plot would be painfully overwrought if not for the terrific thread of comedy running throughout, praising co-directors Maggie Kang and Chris Appelhans for understanding that even though their setting may be outlandish, they still have to treat the stakes as real. David Tizard of the Korea Times hailed the film as outrageously good, applauding its nuanced representation of Korean culture and calling it a love letter to K-pop that also offers a sharply observed, sometimes unflinching look at the culture that surrounds it. He emphasized how the movie quietly captures the texture of everyday life with an intimacy rarely seen in global content, and celebrated its respectful reinterpretation of traditional Korean folklore through characters like the grinning tiger demon and the magpie, symbols drawn directly from Korea's folk art tradition. Similarly, Peter Debreuge of Variety remarked that because the nimble, genre-hopping movie is set in the world of K-pop, audiences might not even realize they're watching a musical, pointing to the film's seamless integration of song and story. Critics widely praised the voice cast and the film's musical execution. Jeff Ewing of Collider noted that the actresses portraying Huntr have clearly distinct personalities and a strong collective dynamic, specifically highlighting Arden Cho's complex and emotional performance as Rumi and Dan Hyosop's charismatic and clever turn as Jinu, the demon-turned-boy band lead. Isaiah Colbert of IO9 praised the phenomenal voice work and authentic musicality that made even reluctant K-pop critics bob their heads and hum along. He wrote that the film explores music as both a refuge and a form of emotional expression, likening it to Pixar's Turning Red, but noting that K-pop Demon Hunters distinguishes itself through its embrace of the magical girl anime aesthetic. Wilson Chapman of IndieWire found the film's musical sequences to be ingeniously staged, with each number crafted to enhance storytelling rather than distract from it. He pointed out the inventive use of visuals, such as a demon fight choreographed to how it's done, a high-budget K-pop style video for Golden, a creative montage for Takedown, and a lively dance sequence for Soda Pop. Chapman concluded that this versatility elevates the music from a gimmick to a central narrative force. Egan of IGN described the film as a visually sumptuous action fantasy that fuses flashy choreography and anime-inflected verve with original songs written by a who's who list of Western and K-pop industry heavyweights. He praised its heartfelt chest belters and how its soundtrack turns skeptics into fans. David Tizard similarly emphasized that the music slaps, is laced with lyrical nuance, and integrates seamlessly into the film's emotional beats. Matt Goldberg added that the catchy songs are not merely background pieces, but carry real plot stakes that help keep the tension alive throughout the film. Kelechi Iheanacho of Empire called K-pop Demon Hunters a delightful, hugely original addition to Netflix's animated library, comparing it to a crossover between Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Pop Stars, The Rivals. She praised its sheer watchability, thematic depth, and the heartfelt story about generational burdens of shame, fear, and self-acceptance, writing that even with a few predictable moments and a slightly rushed ending, the film deserves every bit of its global domination. Not all critics were unreservedly positive. However, Angela Garcia of Slug magazine noted that the film's relatively short runtime leaves you feeling like it's only scratched the surface of both the world and its characters. She described this as both a compliment to the film's world building and a sign that some ideas were left underdeveloped. Wilson Chapman echoed this sentiment, calling the brisk pacing both a strength and a weakness. He mentioned that secondary characters like Mira and Zoey receive limited development, and that the climax feels slightly rushed with an overly tidy resolution that doesn't give these lovable girls the ending they deserve. Matt Goldberg also commented on occasional tonal whiplash, suggesting that stronger emotional arcs for Zoey and Mira could have given the film even greater resonance. Industry observers took note of the film's broader implications for animation and streaming. Matthew Baloney of Puck remarked that Sony Pictures did make one of the biggest movie sensations of the summer a project from its animation division that cost over $100 million and will likely become a billion-dollar franchise, but pointed out that most of the film's financial rewards went to Netflix, which had acquired the project through its direct-to-platform deal. He described K-pop Demon Hunters as arguably Netflix's first animated mega-hit after years of attempts, calling it a studio chief's dream, a relatively affordable superhit with endless franchise potential. Belloni added that Sony's Tom Rothman must be kicking himself for not releasing it theatrically, emphasizing the movie's unexpected success as both a cultural milestone and a business model game-changer. Overall, K-pop Demon Hunters was celebrated as a groundbreaking achievement that blended Korean cultural pride, global pop sensibilities, and cutting-edge animation into a cohesive and emotionally charged experience. Critics agreed that it not only revitalized the animated musical genre but also set a new benchmark for international collaboration and storytelling in modern animation. When in K-pop, the fans come first, or so catchy South Korean music acts are constantly telling the legions of dedicated followers who have propelled them to international stardom. If it weren't for the fans, boy band BTS couldn't possibly have filled SoFi Stadium 4 times over, and Blackpink would never have been invited to headline Coachella, nor would there be any reason to greenlight a movie like Pop Demon Hunters. The title says it all in the high-energy, high-concept supernatural action comedy from Sony Pictures Animation, the versatile toon studio responsible for Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse and The Mitchells vs. the Machines. 3 ultra-talented supernatural protectors use their popularity as girl band superstars to defend the mortal world from Demon King Wima, Byung Hun Lee, known to the world as Huntrix, rebellious wield-wielding Mira, Mayhong, boy band crazed rapper Zoey, Ji Young-yu, and purple-braided orphan Rumi, Arden Cho, are what you might call a triple threat. They sing, they dance, they slay demons. When they're not slicing the evil spirits in half with their phosphorescent pink weapons, the band leverages the love fans show them to build a barrier, known as the Golden Han Moon, that will block the demons once and for all. But Jinu, and Seop, one of Wima's most tortured acolytes, has an inspired idea. Together with 4 ridiculously handsome fellow demons, he will start a rival group, the Saja Boys, to try to lure Huntrix's fans to the dark side. What neither Jinu nor Rumi see coming is just how irresistible the 2 pop stars will find each other. The resulting human-demon rom-com plot might be predictable, but not the twist that Pop Demon Hunters, which hits Netflix the same day Pixar's Leo opens in theaters, turns out to be the more entertaining of the 2 animated offerings. That's because co-directors Chris Appelhans, Wish Dragon, and Maggie Kang, who's worked in the story departments at DreamWorks, Blue Sky and Illumination, use their unapologetically silly premise to unleash a far more playful approach to computer animation than any of the aforementioned studios have tried. The creative team takes its cues from webtoons and manhwa, Korean graphic novels, emphasizing dynamic silhouettes over smooth in-between movement. Not clear what that means. Watch how the characters hit and hold lively key poses as the camera glides and zooms around them. What started as a cost-saving measure on animated series such as Speed Racer and the Powerpuff Girls back in the day now gives Pop Demon Hunters a distinctly Asian flavor, further embellished with cute comic book touches. For example, when Huntrix first glimpsed the Saja Boys, the gals stop in their tracks as their pupils swell into puffy red hearts. Reacting to how ripped the guys look, Zoey's eyes change shapes several more times, from six-pack ABS to a pair of buttery corn cobs. The love-struck young lady's reaction provides an unforgettable alternative to the Randy Wolf and Tex Avery's Red Hot Riding Hood cartoon, as twin streams of popcorn erupt like happy tears from her flushed red face. Instead of being gross, the violence proves every bit as visually appealing. The trio's weapons are so sharp, they slice clean through the demons, easily identified by jagged purple markings on their zombie-like skin, or else cause them to explode into a burst of confetti. Later, they swarm through a rift in the Han Moon, galloping on all fours like so many golems as they suck the souls from the nearby humans, implied more than seen, so as to preserve the film's PG rating. Fast and efficient, the movie blazes through an exposition-heavy first act in less than 15 minutes, which is right about the time we learn Rumi's secret. She's the daughter of a pop singer mom and demon dad who's marked by the same purple imprints as the spirits she swore to eliminate. The only person who knows Rumi's hybrid status is Huntrix's trusted trainer Celine, Yeonjin Kim, who believes that Rumi can keep her demon genes in check, but the group's mentor never foresaw her Prot A tilde copyright G8 tilde copyright falling for a bad boy like Jinu, who's got a couple secrets up his sleeve as well. A subplot involving problems with Rumi's voice doesn't quite work, although it slows down the storytelling long enough for some fun character moments. Like an action-packed trip to the spa and a short-lived staycation, complete with bubble tea and bingsu. You can't have a CG cartoon these days without adorable animal sidekicks, which come in the form of a grinning tiger demon and a blackbird in a tiny gat hat, both designed to look like they've stepped straight out of Korean folklore. The K-pop angle sets an obvious challenge for the filmmakers in that this tune needs some original tunes to make it sing, plus catchy choreography to distinguish it from vintage shows like Josie and the Pussycats and Gem and the Holograms. Compiled by a range of A-list music producers, the macaronic soundtrack, which mixes English and Korean lyrics, includes 3 hits for Huntr, performed by Zoey, Audrey Nuna and Rumi. How It's Done, Golden and Takedown, the latter covered by Twice over the end credits. Better Still is Free, a standout duet between Zoey and Arden Cho, Rumi's and Jinu's singing voices, respectively. Because the nimble, genre-hopping movie is set in the world of K-pop, it may not even occur to fans that they're watching a musical, although it's kind of hard to deny as you catch yourself singing along. Netflix's K-pop Demon Hunters is a huge hit, thanks in part to its music. Let's go over all the songs from the movie, ranked from worst to best. A few days after finally catching the hit Netflix movie K-pop Demon Hunters, I decided to give the songs a listen on their own, and by the time I was done, I had a thought that I never thought would enter my head even a week prior. I want to get the K-pop songs ranked from this animated musical about superstars who fight demons. What sounded like the dumbest, most weeb-pandering idea of all time has resulted in a clever, heartfelt, gorgeously stylized film that won me over against all odds. And, of course, part of its success is thanks to the great set of original songs showcased throughout the movie. So, why not rank them from worst to best? For those who don't know, K-pop Demon Hunters is about a K-pop trio called Huntr, consisting of Rumi, Arden Cho, Mira, Hong, and Zoey, Jinu. They were secretly chosen to battle demons, who themselves are disguised as a rival boy band in a battle for fans' literal souls. But there's more going on under the surface, which will require me spoiling the entire film, so be warned. And while each song's quality is obviously important, I'm also factoring in its sequence and role in this film when determining the order. So, prepare to see how out of touch my taste in pop music is as we rank every song in the film from worst to best. 7. Soda Pop Yup. I know I've already lost some people, because this song is apparently a fan favorite, but its last place spot wasn't even a tough choice for me. Soda Pop is the debut song of the Demons' fake boy band, the Saja Boys, and it instantly wins over the street crowd they play it to. It's about a girl they really like and want to drink up. That's it. It's the kind of generic bubblegum pop song you'd hear on any radio station, which is the entire point within the story. The song 100% does its job, a broken bar, but so do all the other songs, all of which have actual substance beyond that. I'd cut Soda Pop a bit of slack if it was super catchy or creative, but I've never once caught it stuck in my head like the rest of the music in the movie, and even the visuals of its film sequence aren't very memorable. Sure, you could make the connection that drinking someone's essence like soda has the dark undertones of the demons drinking people's souls, but there's a much better song later on that hits on those themes. This isn't a bad tune, it's perfectly listenable and well sung, but it's the only song I'd call completely unremarkable. 6. Freak Pop Demon Hunters hits us with a big surprise early on. Rumi is part demon and wants to be rid of the tattoos that mark her as such. She forms an unexpected bond with Jinu, and seop, one of the Saja Boys with his own secrets, and the two eventually sing about finding comfort together and wanting to be free from their pasts. The lyrics can be a bit on the generic side, including "Why does it feel like I can tell you anything?" or "No one sees me the way you do," but the heartfelt performances and animated expressions help them come across as very sincere. Free is easily the most low-key song in the movie, both musically and in terms of its respective sequence. The number sees Rumi and Jinu mostly walking and staring longingly at each other before floating up in a pink void towards the song's ending stretch. This isn't a bad thing at all, as the simplicity and blocking are extremely effective in making the scene so tender. The sound is mainly melancholy with a tinge of hope, especially fitting when you know how their relationship ultimately ends. I feel bad putting Free so low, because the songs have already gotten really good. It just has a lot of competition that stands out above it. 5. How It's Done as a tune on its own. How It's Done honestly doesn't do much for me. The melody and beat don't flow organically to my ears, and some lyrics like, "Mac and Fear Afraid to Breathe," are among the cringiest in the film. But as the film's first song that kicks us off, it wholly succeeds. The demon hunter's fighting prowess is introduced through a colorful yet, to them, standard A battle, one of the flashiest fights in the film that gives us a great sense of the action in general. The three women's distinct but still synergized personalities are firmly cemented even just through their voices as they sing and rap along. To give the lyrics credit, they effectively encompass pretty much every part of this weird, dual lifestyle that Huntr leads, weaving their way between the glamour of fame and the badassery of chopping down monsters. It's also finally established that the songs sung in KPop Demon Hunters actually exist as the pop group's hits in universe, with How It's Done being sung by Huntr's fans as their idols drop into their own show from the sky. This track may not get many listens from me, but it lays down a lot of world-building groundwork right away, showing us how a musical introduction is done. 4. Takedown as Huntr's diss track against the Saja Boys. But what's interesting is that the writing process for the song has more prominence than any actual performance of it. It's filled with not-so-subtle double meanings like, "A demon with no feelings don't deserve to live," that sound hilariously harsh out of context. But as Rumi starts getting to know Jinu, she develops second thoughts on singing about framing all demons as inhuman, which in turn grows the already forming doubts the other women have about her intentions. The best use of the song comes when two demons disguise themselves as Rumi's bandmates and spew her very own lyrics right back at her, reminding her that she is hiding her own patterns that make her ugly as sin in her eyes. But much like Jinu, there's more to her than that. Plus, this internal conflict somewhat satirizes the nature of diss tracks and how they can oversimplify or overvillainize their targets. And as a standalone track, Takedown is just plain fun for its pulsing, aggressive beat and hummable chorus, making it one of the film's breakout tracks for good reason. 3. Your idol on the opposite side of the battlefield. The Saja Boys begin our climax with this sinister number about getting someone addicted to them as idols, which they use to sap away the souls of their audience. It's essentially the film's villain song, complete with demonic chanting, eerie strings, and high-pitched belting that comes close to sounding like a wild wolf's howl. The performance is filled with fiery reds and vampiric Saja Boys in black robes, putting on a dance that exudes creeping power and visibly forces their listeners under the spell. Your idol is the ultimate representation of the demon's entire MO, and the lyrics about how your obsession feeds our connection go perfectly with the darkly seductive visuals. Plus, in keeping with the almost satirical touches in KPop Demon Hunters, the song doubles as a jab at real-life fans who grow addicted to their favorite boy bands or any other musical acts, basically viewing them as their whole world, while the artist in turn preys on that mentality. Your idol is dark, creepy, infectiously catchy, and a perfect way to show the film's world at its lowest point before salvation arrives. 2. What it sounds like having the world be saved through song is ridiculous on paper, but damn it, KPop Demon Hunters makes it work with what it sounds like. When all hope is lost, Rumi has finally accepted who she is and walks on stage with a song straight from the heart. Mira and Zoey's trance is broken and they join in despite having never heard it, because magical music reaches out and bridges souls in this world. And by now you've likely just accepted that. Joking aside, this is a touching number about seeing beauty in damage and no longer hiding your scars. I love way it builds in tempo and intensity as it goes, starting with Rumi singing solo and having the other two join in after in perfect literal harmony. The mechanics of how all this works don't need to be fully explained. You see the visuals unfolding, you hear the words being sung, and you have all you need. What it sounds like also features some of the film's best animation, as the demons and Huntr face off in one final, emotional showdown to go with the triumphant track. And to tie everything together musically, everyone's souls are restored while a callback to the earlier golden washes over them. Oh yeah, Speaking of which, a broken bar 1, Golden doesn't contain the most dazzling animation, nor is it even the most lyrically clever song in the lineup, but for me, it boasts the most impactful use of any song in the movie and is the heart of the story. The track is about Huntrix proudly declaring their self-assured, shining success as stars and people. The lyrics give us a small taste of Mira and Zoey's backstories. The beat is booming and propulsive, the melody is rousing and warm, not to mention a massive earworm, and the vocals from Ajay who does Rumi's singing voice are unbelievably powerful. But at the halfway point, Rumi sings her part in her room and shows us her demon tattoos for the first time. The song A and the whole film A had previously been so upbeat, so it's a huge jolt to have this reveal come so casually, without warning, in the middle of the big empowerment song. And when you realize that Rumi is not shining as her real self, Golden transforms into an I Want song in disguise. Nowhere is that clearer than when she's on a rooftop, singing a cappella by herself, only to lose her voice because she's not living true to the song's message. That was the moment when I knew this movie was going to work. It says so much about Rumi's sense of identity, her isolation, and the contrast between a song and its songwriter, and it makes you hear the whole track in a completely different light. Even Rumi's rousing chanting of, "We're going up, up up," starts sounding like a desperate plea, like she wants to reach those heights instead of already being there. But then, during the finale, the song creeps in again, and this time it finally matches how she feels at her core. Golden is not only my favorite song to listen to, but it encapsulates nearly everything that makes Pop Demon Hunters such a deceptively good movie. 3. First, a sneak peek behind the curtain. When our planned review of Netflix's Pop Demon Hunters fell through, we considered whether we needed to reassign it and presumed that it was one of many lackluster animated streaming releases that our critical beat could skip. We were wrong. Since its release in mid-June, this Sony animation adventure flick has become one of the biggest original hits in the history of the streaming service. As of this writing, it sits comfortably right behind Happy Gilmore 2 and its predecessor, which would be incredible if it had come out 3 days ago but is far more remarkable for a film that's over a month old. Nothing stays long in the spotlight on Netflix because of the speed of its revolving door of content, so why has Pop Demon Hunters become immortal? Fans are clearly watching it on repeat, attracted to its catchy tunes, inventive visuals, and personal resonance. More than just another lazy animated streaming project, Pop Demon Hunters is emotionally empowering in ways that have made it a cross-demo hit. Pop Demon Hunters opens with a burst of energy, introducing viewers to the hit girl group Huntr/X, Rumi, Arden Cho, Mira, Hong, and Jinu. One of the most popular trios in the world, Huntr/X rocks the charts on stage and destroys demons when they're off. This blend of Charlie's Angels and Buffy the Vampire Slayer has a familiar structure, but the 4 credited screenwriters are careful to ground it in Korean mythology too. Huntr/X maintains something called the Han Moon, a protection against a centuries-old demon ruler known as Gwema, who has a legion of otherworldly creatures to unleash on humanity. The excellent opening scenes of KDH feature Huntr/X combating demons who try to keep them from performing a show that night. Of course, they vanquish their foes and hit the dance choreography too. Tensions rise when a demon named Jinu, and seop, convinces Gwema to let him form a boy K-pop band named the Saja Boys. Of course, they become overnight superstars. It can be entertainingly difficult to determine whether or not this movie thinks actual K-pop is a tool of the devil, exposing some of the celebrity weaknesses of Huntr/X in the process. The main arc of Pop Demon Hunters centers on Rumi's secret that she's part demon, something she's withheld from her BFF bandmates. Being a demon himself, Jinu discovers Rumi's patterns, revealing that he has a human past he's trying to erase. Both of these characters are burdened by shame regarding their true identities, which is a perfect thematic marriage with pop music, which both thrives on manufactured personalities and taps into relatable insecurities in the hearts of its biggest fans. A great pop line like "I should have let the jagged edges meet the light instead" sounds pulled right from the songwriting book of dozens of current pop queens. To use a basketball phrase, K-pop Demon Hunters works best when it's playing with pace. While critics often deride animated films that feel too hyperactive, K-pop demon hunting requires speed, and the film is at its most enjoyable when it's bursting with visual energy, buoyed by strong pop songs like Golden and Takedown, which have already become streaming hits. The soundtrack is the best-selling for an animated film since 2021's Encanto. When the movie slows down, it loses some of its magic, primarily because it has too many characters over-explain their emotional crutches and what they need to do to overcome them. It becomes surprisingly repetitive, given its brief runtime, and there's a version of this film that trusts its audience a bit more, allowing the music or visuals to do the heavy lifting instead of always relying on dialogue to explain the intention. That could easily come in the sequel, which is reportedly already being considered. Of course, the thematic depth and catchy tunes wouldn't matter if K-pop Demon Hunters didn't look fantastic. Inspired by fluid animation that owes as much to comic panels as it does to anime, the Spider-Verse comparisons feel apt. The artwork of KDH is dynamic, elevating the storytelling and amplifying the themes in a manner that is essential to why the film has been connecting so strongly. Most of all, K-pop Demon Hunters feels both familiar and fresh. Kind of like a song you're hearing for the first time, but you somehow know the words. Those are the hits. For following the path of a generation of demon hunters, female K-pop group Huntr bid to unite their fans through music and seal the Moon, a veil protecting the living from the demon world. With the mission nearly complete, the group faced their biggest challenge yet, battling a demon boy band. When Guillermo del Toro proudly professed that animation is cinema during the 2023 Oscars, it felt like a rallying call for the medium to be taken seriously. One major studio that is constantly testing the barriers of what the medium is capable of is Sony Pictures Animation. From the handmade-feeling family comedy The Mitchells vs. the Machines to the multiversal innovations of the Spider-Verse films, their latest venture, K-pop Demon Hunters, is another delightful, hugely original addition to their impressive catalog. It plays like a cross between Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Pop Stars, the rival _S. We first meet the Huntr ladies Rumi, Arden Cho, Mira, Hong, and Zoey, Youngyu, diving out of a plane with Avengers-esque superhero coolness, slaying demons on their way to a concert. That euphoric intro sets the tone for the film, which sees the trio showdown, or rather a takedown, as the now-hit single is named, with their fans tealing, shoulder-bouncing boy band competition the Saja Boys, and duel their demon world leader, Gwema, Squid Game _S Lee Byung-hun, a film that deserves every bit of its global domination whether you're a K-pop stan or not. The sheer watchability of this film comes down to the joyous energy and fun it has with the concept. Its breezy, zip-along pace perfectly complements its laugh-out-loud gags from Zoey's popcorn eyes whenever she sees the Saja Boys ABS, to Mira turning up to the Met Gala in a sleeping bag. Its crowning glory, undeniably, is the music, which is nothing but a hit factory of instant bangers. Prepare to wear out the repeat button on your Spotify playlist, but underpinning its catchy musical entries and Moon mythologies is a heartfelt story about generational burdens of shame and fear, and the eventual embracing of your identity. Here, Rumi takes center stage, having to hide her part demon secret away from her bandmates and the world in fear of rejection. The film does well to unpick the vulnerable emotions that drive her, alongside a will they won't they tease between her and Saja Boys member Jinu, and seop. There are, of course, some elements of predictability, and its tendency to rush towards the end slightly takes away some of its shine. But when the songs uplift and the animation excels, these minor flaws can be forgiven. For a film that deserves every bit of its global domination, an animated film showing you how it's done, as Huntr would put it, this is a stunning musical treat, a joy for all ages. Now warm up the vocal cords and bring on the sequel. 5. It may seem strange for Sony Pictures Animation to follow the meteoric success of 2023's Spider-Man, Across the Spider-Verse with a movie about South Korean pop idols who moonlight as slayers of supernatural evil. But look at it this way, the Spider-Verse series and the wide-ranging, mega-popular musical style known as K-pop are two of the most beloved, powerful, and influential cultural forces of the past 10 years. Why wouldn't these two great tastes taste great together? Enter K-pop Demon Hunters, the new animated action musical from first-time director Maggie Kang and co-director and writer Chris Appleheads that taps into K-pop's idiosyncratic sound and quirks to craft a story about strength through adversity and the power inherent in living one's truth. It isn't just a worthy, frequently hilarious follow-up to SPA's Oscar-nominated masterpiece. It's a relentless celebration of both the music that inspired it and the medium of animation itself. K-pop Demon Hunters centers on Huntr, a Korean pop trio made up of laser-focused lead vocalist Rumi, Arden Cho, aloof lead dancer and choreographer Mira, Hong, and bubbly lyricist, resident rapper Zoey, Jinu. While they've built a following with their music, the group are in fact a cohort of demon hunters tasked with safeguarding the world from the ravenous soul-sucking hordes of the Demon King Wema, Squid Game's Lee Byung-hun, who is hellbent on feasting on humanity and asserting his dominion over the earth. If that premise sounds a bit like Sailor Moon 8-Law Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or the Powerpuff Girls meets Power Rangers, well, you're not too far off the mark. The film is as much about inheriting the generational mantle of defending humanity from otherworldly threats as it is about balancing that colossal responsibility along with the challenge of everyday life. Beyond these reference points, K-pop Demon Hunters asserts its own identity with ample drama, comedy, and personality, plus a bevy of catchy bop-worthy tracks with Huntr's vocals provided by the trio of Ajae, Audrey Nuna, and Rumi, and electrifying action that kept me locked to my screen and eager for more. On the eve of their greatest victory, the legions of Gwema present Huntr's with their most formidable foes yet, a demon boy band group led by Jinu, and seop, with singing by Arden Cho, a human-turned-demon with a mysterious past. To defeat them, Huntr's will not only have to battle their demonic counterparts both on and off stage, but confront their own long-buried secrets and insecurities in order to band together and banish Gwema once and for all. Metaphysical silliness aside, it makes for a pretty moving watch. K-pop Demon Hunters is yet another link in a chain that began with 2018's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, bearing the inventive blend of animation styles, textures, and tones that carried over into spiritual successors like Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, The Bad Guys, and The Mitchells vs. the Machines. Impressive as they are, none of those films managed to match Spider-Verse's peerless synthesis of visual ingenuity, tender storytelling, and infectious music quite like Kang, Appleheads, and team have here. The fight sequences, with their flashy choreography and anime-inflected verve, lean heavily on musical numbers featuring original songs penned by a who's who list of popular Western artists and K-pop mainstays like Jang Ian, Jihyo, and Chae of Twice, who wrote and performed the soundtrack's braggadocious lead single Takedown. For all its echoes of Miles Morales' adventures across realities, K-pop Demon Hunters also feels like what would happen if Riot Games and Fortiche went all in after the conclusion of Arcane and made an animated feature together, a visually sumptuous action fantasy with the kind of heartfelt chest belters that are sure to make ardent converts of fans of animated musicals like Frozen, Mona, Encanto and the like. That's to say nothing of K-pop Demon Hunters' comedic chops, nor its dramatic depth. It's gratifying to watch Rumi, Mira, and Zoey's journey toward accepting the parts of themselves they'd rather hide from the rest of the world. The same can be said of them hanging out together, making exaggerated stank faces, and thirsting after their demonic counterparts' ab muscles despite the fact that they're, demons. K-pop Demon Hunters knows how to tackle serious subject matter without taking itself too seriously, which, along with its stunning production value and exciting action sequences, makes for a wholly entertaining experience. Since Spider-Verse, I've been excited about every new Sony Pictures animation project, whether they are telling ambitious stories or inventing experimental animation techniques. They are the animation studio that constantly raises the bar for their rivals. These days, the hyperstylized 2D/3D art style they pioneered is now so common that DreamWorks and Disney Animation have also embraced it, with mixed results. But when it comes from Sony Animation, You know it's going to be good. When the studio announced Pop Demon Hunters from Maggie Kang and Chris Appelhans as one of their more mature projects, it instantly shot to the top of my most anticipated watch list. Although it did not develop into the mature action film it was initially marketed as, the final result is a fierce family film that serves as a huge throwback to action and magical girl cartoons like Totally Spies, Juniper Lee, Winx Club, and the Powerpuff Girls. But, like, make it Korean. Just when I thought Sinners was the only supernatural genre musical with cultural significance this year. Throughout history, a trio of female demon hunters has doubled as musicians, tasked with protecting humanity from malevolent spirits. Now, that legacy is carried on by the K-pop group Huntr, led by the confident vocalist Rumi, Arden Cho, alongside the fierce lyricist Mira, and the bubbly rapper Zoey, Jinu. Thanks to their efforts, the Hanmoon, the magical seal dividing the human and demon realms, is closer than ever to completion. But their growing success enrages their flame-wreathed nemesis, Gwema, by Eunhan Lee, leader of the demon world. To bring down Huntrix, one of Gwema's top demons, Jinu, and seop, decides to fight fire with fire and create a demon boy band called the Saja Boys. Clad in human flesh, the Saja Boys debut and quickly gain popularity in Korea, even stealing the attention of Huntrix's fanbase. Now, Huntrix must take them on in a battle of K-pop idols. But when Jinu and Zoey begin to form an unexpected bond, tensions rise. Especially as Jinu uncovers a secret that threatens to jeopardize Huntrix's mission. Rumi has been concealing her half-demon heritage from Mira and Zoey. Huntrix just got a new fan in me from the outset. Pop captivates with its vibrant world-building and fast-paced, kinetic energy, laying the foundation for a multi-generational Korean demon hunting tradition and introducing the Huntrix trio through the eyes of their devoted fans. The trio is basically the Powerpuff Girls. Rumi is Blossom, Mira is Buttercup, and Zoey is Bubbles. Even Zoey's rap game harkens back to Bubbles going "I'm hardcore." The filmmakers were prepped for that parallel, and even show some of Huntrix's fans in PPG-style merch, much like new jeans. Oh, yeah. I know some K-pop stuff. With those well-known archetypes in mind, screenwriters Danya Jimenez Hanimkin and Kang Appelhans do a fine job of rendering the Huntrix team's familial friendship. Actresses Ji Young-yu, Hong, and Arden Cho also do commendable voice work, providing energy and warmth to complement the animation's frenetic style. On a story front, Pop is most engaging and amusing when it is focused on the dynamic of the trio and their dual identities. The story primarily centers on Rumi and her endeavors to conceal her half-demon heritage. This is largely motivated by the influence of her adoptive mother, Celine, Yeonjin Kim, who was a member of the previous generation of the Demon Hunter pop group. The plot goes into K-drama mode as soon as Jinu and his Saja Boys come into the picture, and even more as Rumi and Jinu's forbidden romance K-drama trope blossoms. The writers take full advantage, leaning into it with genuine dramatic elements and humorous self-awareness. However, the balance between Rumi's journey of self-discovery and her relationship with her band is uneven. Mira and Zoey are frequently absent well into the second act, as more time is dedicated to Jinu. He makes for an alluring foil to Rumi, tragic backstory, hunky character design, and all that. However, he occupies a significant amount of screen time in areas where Huntrix's friendship should be center stage. Pop has lofty ambitions, but not have enough time to realize them. As the film advances, the story aims higher, delving further into the backgrounds of its large ensemble. However, the convoluted plot elements remain largely undeveloped as a result of the film's brief 98-minute runtime. Many of the problems with the plot can be found in the climax, which feels rushed to an underwhelming degree. The film could have benefited from a longer runtime to fully realize its intentions, as it effectively maintained momentum up to that point. But whatever its shortcomings, the film mostly overcompensated with its animation and music. Visually, Pop leans more into Spider-Verse's realm. Kang Appelhans have a sharp eye, particularly for deciphering which moments call for fast, expressive movement and which ones need a more subtle, dramatic weight. The action sequences are intensified by higher frame rates and blend zippy 2D action lines with a 3D backdrop. The film's unique, fully realized art direction gives the fleshed-out world a vibrant visual pop, using an explosive color palette derived from K-pop music culture. K-pop also uses a distinctive blend of 2D animated anime expressions on detailed 3D models, resulting in hilarious visual gags and physical humor. Pop's soundtrack is Oscar-worthy. Pop features some of the most catchy genre-bending original songs in film this year, complete with visually stunning musical numbers written and produced by various Korean artists including Rumi, Audrey Nuna, and some members of Twice. Frankly, Pop and Synchronized soundtracks clear all of this past year's Best Original Song nominees, especially the horrendous winner. Similarly to previous Sony animation films that became Netflix exclusives, Vivo, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, K-pop Demon Hunters is far too dazzling to be seen on a small screen. Not to brag, but when I saw it at the Paris theater for a press screening, it was mostly empty and I was having a ball, tapping my toes and bopping my head. I strongly encourage you to look up showtimes since it is getting a limited theatrical run in some areas. Seeing it in a theater is a friggin' blast and was truly one of the best theatrical experiences I've had all year. Final statement. Maggie Kang. Chris Applehen's K-pop Demon Hunters is a visually stunning animated genre bender, brimming with style, action, and a wonderful soundtrack that pays homage of K-pop and Korean culture in every frame. It once again proves why Sony Animation is the best in the biz. Rating, 3.557. Lest you roll your eyes and think of it as a 4-quadrant friendlier version of Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Hunter, K-pop Demon Hunters immediately establishes its premise, getting any prospective scoffing out of the way. For generations, a voiceover intro explains, girl groups have used their popular songs to secretly trap hordes of demons underground and keep the world safe. The latest group on their trail, Huntr, a K-pop girl band that, in its fight against the sinister Gwema, Lee Byung-hun, and his demons, is close to completing the Golden Han Moon, a protective barrier that will permanently keep evil forces at bay. But the girl group soon faces its toughest challenge yet, a demon boy band. With that somewhat silly logline behind us, what we'll find in this Netflix animated film, directed by Maggie Kang and Chris Applehen's, is an original universe that is charming, funny and artfully punchy. It's a Sony Pictures animation film that shares a kind of lineage with the studio's recent hit Spider-Verse franchise that is most apparent in the similar visual style. But otherwise what it borrows mostly is a more holistic and technical sense of the cinematic, a philosophy of approach that is rare in big-budget animation films. The action sequences are fluid and immersive, the art is frequently striking and the music, catchy, if formulaic earworms, is a properly wielded and dynamic storytelling tool. And as for the cheesy girl group versus boy band story, Kang and Applehen's have a sly sense of humor about it all. Too, the movie is funniest when it pokes at pop culture that is highly manufactured. From K-pop to K-dramas to mass-produced singing competitions are the very things the film itself would never stoop to. 8. K-pop Demon Hunters has incredible animation, music, and a beautifully brilliant story. The animated family film follows a girl band who also happen to be the main line of defense against demons invading the Earth. And while the story seems like a cluster of ideas smashed together, the way it plays out is incredibly coherent and engaging. Rumi, Mira, and Zoey were raised from a young age knowing they would pick up a long-held legacy of female musicians who maintained the boundary between the human world and the demons. Through their magical voices and their incredible combat skills, they alone can see a protective barrier that halts the demons. However, when the demons send up a boy band of their own to rival the Huntr, the boundaries begin to shake. K-pop Demon Hunters juggles a lot of ideas with incredible results on the surface. This movie shouldn't work. It's a K-pop inspired musical mixed with a supernatural demon-slaying story, and crammed into an animated family film. But somehow, despite the obvious conflicts, the material comes together spectacularly. And that is down to how effectively the film plays out each of those elements. The animated style is charming, multifaceted, and clean. This is no surprise considering it comes from the same studio that worked on the animated Spider-Verse films. Despite the shared heritage, KPop Demon Hunters leans into a much more anime-inspired style, and it's effective in exploring the story and making the action compelling. Add to this the incredibly catchy and quality music, and the result is a stunning blend of genre. Further defining the story, the characters face off against demons with an array of weapons. This could have caused the rest of the story to fall apart, but on the contrary, it works. It's action-packed, vibrant, and thoroughly exciting. Overall, KPop Demon Hunters manages to do something special against the odds. KPop Demon Hunters packs an emotional punch beyond the technical nature of the film and plot. The story conveys an emotionally intense narrative that takes the audience on a lovely journey. Rumi is the center of the story, and her personal development throughout the film sets the foundation for the emotional stakes. This leads to some deep contemplative ideas about self-acceptance and the nature of good and evil in a way that continues to be fun and exciting. The rest of the voice cast does a tremendous job bringing these characters to life, from the competing bands to the voice of the Demon King, and the musicians who lent their voices to the music in this film, and take it to the next level. This music also contributed a lot to the emotion of the film, with songs that reflect changes in mood and tone. The result is a stunning film that could easily go under the radar with only a streaming release. KPop Demon Hunters is not just for fans of anime, nor is it just for kids. It's an incredible adventure filled with humor, emotion, and stunning music. KPop Demon Hunters is a phenomenal family film with heart, passion, and a fast-paced plot that will keep audiences on the edge of their seats, regardless of age.